What is up, my beautiful people? Hope you're having a tremendous day. Exile451 here with yet another daily dose of Reddit Happy. Gonna dive back into that thread on r/getdisciplined that we went to last week because there are so many good stories there and I am pumped to share them with you. And like I usually do when we're doing an Ask Reddit, not gonna have any commentary on any of these stories until the end. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. So, in case you forgot, or for anyone new, the question was, people who worked your butt off to change your life, what's your story? Whew, story time. It's 2014. I work as a financial analyst making $38,000 a year downtown, commuting about 2 hours a day each way. Had my MBA too, so I was working for peanuts and busting my chops with unpaid overtime. I was on salary. I was dating a girl for about 3 years, friends of a friend. That male friend constantly used my garage and other crap, but I never had the guts to tell him no. Weeks were spent drinking and wasting money to fit in with people I hated. Parties were the norm, I didn't travel, didn't experience things, and somehow I was still a virgin because Goldilocks believed in no sex before marriage. Basically, my life sucked. I hated myself. Everyone thought I was making $80,000 plus a year and that I had this wonderful girlfriend and tons of friends, but really, I hated it all. Little did I know, Goldilocks met some Australian when her and her cousin were gallivanting around Europe that summer. Christmas 2014 comes and this guy is on a plane flying here to the US. First I'd heard of him besides the telltale signs of random texts, Snapchats, and calls when we were out doing stuff. I was out of the picture immediately. Majority of my friends sided with her. Keep in mind, these are people I actually hated talking to, but it's what I had. I was left with nothing. No social group, a crap job, no hope, still living with my parents at age 26. 2015 was a wonderful year. I started out by lifting and preparing to tackle a hobby I wanted to get into more, car racing, autocross. I also started planning solo road trips all across a 3-state range to state parks and other attractions. Spring comes, I start racing. Start traveling all winter, spring, summer, fall. Improved myself and got out there. Experienced things. Proved to myself I didn't need people to live. In March into April, with my few months of getting out in the world, I started approaching girls. I had heard of pickup before, but always sucked at it. I didn't think lines, coaches, and all that crap worked. I also still hated clubs/bars and drinking, so every time I forced myself to go out at night, either solo or with a few friends, I'd constantly fail and get shut down. I told myself I'd approach 2 to 3 girls a day on my lunch break and just say, "Hey, who are you?" with a smile and reach out to shake their hand. It sucked at first. I feared doing it, but pushed through. I stumbled and fumbled over words. Eventually, I got used to it. I got confident in doing the exact same thing each time. In March, I dated a friend's sister who I found attractive for years. Short-lived, just a few weeks of hanging out. April, I dated a cam girl, whom I met on my lunch break. Broke it off because I thought the cam thing was not something I wanted to be involved with. July, I dated a model and former prom queen for 2 to 3 months. September and October, I dated this great girl at the local college going for her graduate degree. I had done about 500 approaches, gotten 100 numbers, and those short-term relationships came of them. I had finally gotten over my fear of talking to girls, and I think it took an entirely different level than most guys ever think is really possible. I'm average-looking, skinny, 140 pounds, and not even 6 feet. Through all of this, I'm still racing and met my goal of attending all the local races. I traveled to tons of state parks and documented it all on a YouTube channel. Hung out with some bigger name YouTubers at car events. Made probably 20 to 30 car friends, if not more. I was having such an awesome time in life, and I feel the girls I talked to could get that vibe off me. December, I went out on a date with a girl, and things just clicked. They clicked because I was a changed man. I wasn't some shy boy who never went out, never traveled, never explored. After meeting her, I didn't approach a single other girl, and anyone else I was talking to just fell off my list to follow up with. We've been in a relationship for 3 years now, have 2 cats and an apartment. We've traveled to probably 15 states together. Career-wise, I changed companies, moved up into management and finance. I make probably 3 times what I made back then and don't work much overtime. I work mostly remote too. I've worked on racing and was able to win my class this year locally after only about 2 to 3 years. The whole approaching girls taught me I can do anything I fear. If I can do that, I can do anything. It's like it unlocked some gateway or something. I put tons and tons of effort into it, but got results. I applied the same effort and drive into my career, and that took off. I then did that in my hobby of racing, and poof, I started winning. I learned you have to go 100% and fully believe that no matter what, you will eventually accomplish the goal. There is no trying. Yes, there is failure and bumps along the way, many actually, but you need to believe you will eventually succeed. In everything I had done up to that point, I was putting in 50 to 70% of my potential efforts and expecting results. Here's my advice. If you want to do something, you need to strategize, create habits, then execute them. If you have to give up things, you must do that. If you have to sleep less, then do that. If you have to get a second job, break off negative friendships, or whatever it is, do it. Change. Don't just do the same thing and expect different results. Work your butt off, but do it efficiently. I grew up somewhat spoiled. Basically, my parents did everything for me. That changed rapidly. My parents lost everything when I was around 18. I was also going to a very expensive and very far away school. So, since we couldn't afford the school, I had to move home, but then learned there was a large amount of money still owed to the school. My dad is super avoidant, and so he didn't tell me he couldn't afford it until way late. And I was naive to just let him take care of the finances. Here I was, broke, unable to go to any school, and pretty much felt screwed. I learned quickly it was up to me and only me. So, I got a retail job to pay off the school debt and went to community college to get credits. I was pretty depressed and ashamed of my situation. I kept hashing away at my debt and earned some credits along the way. I bought a car, which I desperately needed, and I eventually got a job at an optical retail location. I really liked it. I decided I wanted to become an optometrist. Finally knocked out the debt. I returned to that university and got my degree. I still wanted to become an optometrist. It took me so long. I worked in an office with my new degree, making decent money and also helping my still broke parents. I went back to school to earn prereqs. I met many awesome people along the way I'm still friends with, and my now husband. Finally, I applied to optometry school. I got accepted. I'm a third year now, also married to my perfect soulmate. I'm not the same dependent person I was when I was 18. I keep growing and becoming wiser. I went from a depressy, helpless girl to an independent achiever. Now, I'm going to be an eye doctor. All thanks to grit. You just need to push, push, push. It's hard, but keep going. Think about the end result. You will make mistakes, but it's okay. Learn from it, don't do it again, and move on. Mine might not be as extreme as these other stories, but out of high school, I went right into college. I drank way too much and did so many stupid things that could have ruined or ended my life. I failed out of college and developed a horrible drinking habit. I went through jobs left and right and got kicked out of my parents' house. I had to live with my girlfriend's mom in a tiny apartment. Eventually, gave up and almost drank myself to death several times. All by the age of 21. My girlfriend at the time, now fiancé, dragged me to the hospital on the brink of death, and after a week in the hospital, I was out. A year later, I have a solid job, my own car, my own apartment, and I'm going back to school next month. The doctors say I'm very lucky to be alive, and if I hadn't been taken to the hospital, I would not be here today. I look at life much differently now, and every day is a struggle, but it gets easier and easier every day. I went through war and genocide, Kosovo War of '99, Google it, when I was 6 years old. From the get-go, I knew life would not play in my favor, but I was always told that my good grades would get me far. I graduated high school with a 4.2 GPA and got a full scholarship in the United States. I honestly thought I had won the lottery. Finally, some freedom. After my first year, from what felt like an incredible height, my downfall began. Shortly after I'd learned that my oldest brother who fought in the war had just killed himself. Nothing was ever the same. I started drinking and smoking and skipping class. My GPA went from a 4.0 to a 2.3 in a matter of months. I stopped talking to my family. My girlfriend, who I thought I was going to marry, broke up with me shortly after. I moved back home and stayed in my room depressed for months. After 2 years, I know my ex's birthday was coming up, so I texted her. At the time, neither one of us were dating anyone. I explained how much I missed her, and she exclaimed the same to me. We began dating again, this time long distance. We started our immigration papers, and after 1 year, we got married and moved in together. I began working at this great job, and now we are celebrating our 1-year anniversary. I have worked hard to beat my depression and grew from my dark times. Well, those are just a few stories that show that change really truly is possible in life. Each one of these stories had someone that started from a very negative, down place, and they've pulled themselves up to find happiness and success in their life. I mean, I can't imagine going through some of the things that these people have gone through. However, this just goes to show that there is nothing holding you back except for yourself. There is always a path forward if you're willing to put in the effort. Thank you all so much for tuning in today. I truly appreciate you guys coming by, watching these videos, sharing them, liking them, everything you do to support the channel. If you enjoyed the video, please go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe so you can get more of your daily dose of Reddit Happy. Also, check out the channel on social media. The link's in the description. Now you go out there, have a great day. I will see you all tomorrow. Until then, I'm Exile451. Stay beautiful, people.